Welcome, learners, to another deep dive. Have you ever just, scratched your head wondering why really brilliant people sometimes make decisions that are, well, baffling?
Or how whole companies filled with smart folks can just spectacularly fail.
Exactly. It's this strange paradox, right? We see it, but we don't always get why it happens.
Absolutely. And that's what we're diving into today. We're looking at The Intelligence Trap by David Robson.
Okay.
Our mission really is to figure out why raw intelligence, sheer brain power, doesn't always lead to wise decisions.
And maybe find out what does.
Precisely. What are the other thinking skills we need? The ones that can actually shield us from making those kinds of foolish mistakes.
Think of it as a shortcut, maybe, to understanding not just what intelligence is, but how to actually use it effectively.
Yeah, how to apply it correctly.
Okay, so let's get into it. Robson brings up this core idea, the intelligence trap. And he has this great analogy, something about a car.
Right, the car analogy. The faster engine gets you places quicker, sure, but only, and this is the key part, if you know how to drive it.
Ah, okay. So the trap isn't about being unintelligent.
Not at all.
Right.
It's actually about these flawed mental habits that can sometimes counterintuitively come along with having higher intelligence or more education or, deep professional expertise.
And this isn't just small stuff, is it? We're talking big consequences, spaceships crashing, stock markets.
Piloting, yeah.
Yeah.
Leaders may be ignoring huge global threats. It plays out on a massive scale.
Wow. And you mentioned this isn't exactly a new idea.
Not fundamentally, no.
Yeah.
What's really fascinating is tracing it back. Go all the way back to Socrates, 399 BC.
Seriously. Socrates.
Yeah. The Oracle of Delphi calls him the wisest man. So what does he do? He wanders around Athens, talking to people considered wise politicians, poets, artisans.
Yeah.
And he realizes they often think they know much more than they actually do. He famously said something like, I know I have no knowledge of being wise in any respect, great or small. He understood his own limits.
That's incredible humility, actually.
It is. And then fast forward like centuries later, René Descartes, 1637. He writes, "It is not enough to possess a good mind. The most important thing is to apply it correctly."
So having the engine isn't enough, you need the driver.
Exactly. He even suggested that someone thinking slowly but methodically and correctly would get further than someone brilliant but hasty.
And now science is catching up.
Right. We're moving beyond just philosophy.
Right.
We now have well-designed studies, actual experiments backing up these, ancient insights.
So if intelligence itself can backfire, and even the great thinkers saw this, what does that mean for us, for our everyday choices?
And for the leaders we rely on, right?
Yeah.
How do we evaluate them?
It really shifts the focus, doesn't it? Away from just being smart towards, I guess, thinking smart.
Thinking wisely.
Okay, so for a long time, we've kind of obsessed over IQ, haven't we? Like, it's the number that tells you how smart someone is.
Oh, definitely. And the source material digs into where that came from. Alfred Binet in Paris, initially trying to help tailor education for kids.
Right, that was the original goal.
Yeah, but then it got picked up and maybe twisted a bit, like Louis Terman in the U.S. with his big study of gifted kids, the termites.
Ah, yes, the termites. Some amazing stories there, like the little girl, Sarah Ann, IQ of 192.
At 6 years old. And she leaves a gumdrop for the examiner, thinking fairies might take it. It's charming, but...
But Terman himself had some darker ideas, didn't he?
He did. A bit of an unsavory streak, as Robson puts it. He actually envisioned using IQ scores for social engineering, identifying potential delinquents before they even did anything wrong, based purely on their score.
Wow. That's chilling, actually. It really shows how loaded this single measure became.
And here's the kicker, the really interesting part about Terman's study.
What's that?
Despite these incredibly high IQs, a lot of his termites didn't actually achieve the kind of, great scientific, artistic, or political success you might predict.
Really? So the super high IQ didn't guarantee super success?
Not automatically, no. David Perkins at Harvard had a great way of putting it. He said, having a high IQ is a bit like being tall and playing basketball.
Okay. How so?
Well, you need a certain basic height, a threshold, to play effectively. But once you're past that threshold, being even taller doesn't automatically make you a better player. Other things matter more. Skill, practice, teamwork.
Got it. So IQ gets you in the door, maybe, but doesn't guarantee you win the game.
Exactly. And this is where Robert Sternberg's work comes in. It really helps broaden our view beyond just that single IQ number. He talked about 3 types of intelligence.
Okay, what are they?
First, there's analytical intelligence. That's basically what IQ tests measure. The student Alice who gets terrific test scores, but maybe isn't great at coming up with original ideas.
Right, the book smarts.
Then there's creative intelligence.
Hmm.
This is the ability to invent, imagine, and suppose. Think of Barbara. Her test scores were good, not amazing, but she was just bursting with ideas, asking those what-if questions.
Like, what if Germany had won World War II? That kind of thing.
Precisely. Divergent thinking. And the third type,
Third type.
practical intelligence. This is like street smarts or common sense applied effectively. The ability to actually achieve success in the real world.
The get things done intelligence.
Yeah. Celia in the book didn't have top grades, wasn't necessarily the most creative, but she was incredibly pragmatic. She knew how to run experiments, how to build a team, how to navigate situations effectively.
That makes so much sense. It feels like we know these different kinds of smart exist, but maybe we don't value them equally.
That's a huge point, especially practical intelligence.
Yeah.
It's often just assumed people will pick it up somehow, through osmosis.
Right, like it doesn't need to be taught.
Exactly. And our education systems, they rarely measure it, rarely teach it explicitly. So there's this big gap. We're training analytical machines, maybe, but not necessarily well-rounded, effective people.
So if we overvalue analytical intelligence and neglect the others, what happens when these really bright people, maybe even experts in their field, stumble, when they fall into this intelligence trap?
Well, the book gives some pretty startling examples.
Like Arthur Conan Doyle, the creator of Sherlock Holmes, the ultimate rational detective.
The very same. He ended up becoming a passionate, convinced believer in spiritualism and fairies, seances. His intelligence didn't protect him. Maybe it even helped him rationalize his beliefs.
Wow. That's ironic. And the FBI example?
Yeah, the Madrid bombings in 2004. Top FBI fingerprint experts made a 100% positive match. Totally confident.
But it was wrong.
Completely wrong. Led to an innocent person being arrested. Their expertise, their confidence, led them down the wrong path.
And even Einstein.
Even Einstein, particularly later in his life, he showed this single-minded determination to prove oneself right, clinging to his unified theory even when evidence suggested otherwise, and a biased blind spot in some of his political statements.
So in all these cases, it wasn't a lack of intelligence. It was intelligence being misused or misapplied.
Exactly. Used more to defend a position than to seek the truth, which leads to the big question. Why? Why does expertise sometimes fail us right when we need it most?
Yeah, what's going on there?
Cognitive neuroscientist Eitil Grohr puts it really well. He says the very things that make an expert efficient, like the mental shortcuts, the patterns they recognize, also create vulnerabilities.
It's a double-edged sword, then.
Precisely. Let's break down a few of these vulnerabilities. First up, motivated reasoning and my-side bias.
Okay, what's that?
Basically, we use our intelligence like a really good lawyer, arguing for our side, rather than an impartial judge seeking truth. We're brilliant at finding reasons to support what we already believe.
So we cherry-pick evidence.
We cherry-pick, we rationalize, we find flaws in opposing arguments much more easily than in our own. It's like self-deception, but supercharged by intellect.
That Kahan study you mentioned earlier fits here, right, with the gun control data.
Perfectly. Highly numerate people, good with numbers, liberals and conservatives. When the data contradicted their political stance on gun control, they actually misinterpreted it more often than less numerate people did.
So their numeracy skills didn't help them see the truth?
They used their skills to avoid the truth, essentially.
Yeah.
To protect their existing belief, their castle, as Robson calls it.
Okay, that's worrying. What else?
Cognitive entrenchment. Experts build up these mental models, these schemas, which allow them to make quick decisions based on past experience. Super efficient, usually.
The downside.
The downside is reduced flexibility. They can get stuck in their ways. And they might start losing sight of the finer details because they're operating on gist.
Like the London taxi drivers.
Exactly. Experienced cabbies. Their brains were incredibly efficient navigating familiar routes, but they actually struggled with new landmarks in places like Canary Wharf because their mental map was so ingrained. Their brain activity even showed less focus on fine visual details compared to novices.
So they become too expert, in a way, less open to new stuff.
It can happen. Their efficiency comes at the cost of adaptability sometimes. And this can also make them more susceptible to irrelevant information if it fits their overall gist.
Okay, what's next?
Outcome bias. This one's really pervasive. We tend to judge the quality of a decision based purely on whether the outcome was good or bad.
Instead of looking at the decision process itself.
Right. If someone makes a risky bet and wins, we think they were brilliant. If they make it the same risky bet based on the same sound reasoning but get unlucky and lose, We call them foolish.
Ah, the NASA example, the mission controllers.
Yeah, they were judged more harshly if a mission failed due to unforeseen circumstances, even if their initial decision-making process was perfectly sound, just unlucky. It's a failure of imagination, really. We just accept what happened instead of thinking about what might have happened with the same decision under different circumstances.
That sounds like it could really stifle sensible risk-taking.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you only reward outcomes, people avoid making good decisions that just happen to have a chance of a bad outcome.
So motivated reasoning, getting entrenched, focusing too much on outcomes, these expert vulnerabilities are quite powerful.
They are, and often unconscious. That's the scary part.
So if even the smartest experts can fall into these traps, how do we protect ourselves? How do we build better thinking habits for ourselves and maybe for our teams? It can't just be about getting a higher IQ score.
No, definitely not. And that's the hopeful part of the book, really.
Ah, the good
The
news.
good news. These other crucial skills, these other thinking styles and reasoning strategies, they can be trained. We can actually learn to be wiser.
Okay, I like the sound of that. What kind of strategies are we talking about? How do we cultivate this evidence-based wisdom?
Well, the research points to several key areas. It often starts with cultivating self-awareness and humility.
Right, like Socrates, knowing what you don't know.
Exactly. Igor Grossman's research highlights intellectual humility. That means recognizing that our judgment isn't perfect, that there's inherent uncertainty.
Like Benjamin Franklin at the Constitution signing, asking people to doubt a little of his own infallibility.
A perfect example. And Grossman found this kind of humility actually predicts well-being better than IQ does. It involves being able to say, I don't have all the information here, rather than jumping to conclusions.
Okay, humility. What else?
Self-distancing. This tackles what's sometimes called Solomon's paradox. You know how we're often much better at giving advice to friends about their problems than dealing with our own?
Oh, definitely. Why is that?
We're too close to our own problems, too emotionally invested. Self-distancing is about creating psychological space, trying to view your situation as an outsider would.
How do you do that? Like, talk to yourself in the third person.
That's one technique, actually. Instead of, why am I feeling this way, ask, why is he or she feeling this way? Studies show it reduces anxiety, stops rumination, helps you see other perspectives. It can even improve relationships.
Very interesting. And emotional awareness.
Crucial. Lisa Feldman Barrett's work on emotion differentiation is key here. It's about being able to precisely label your feelings. Not just, I feel bad, but am I anxious, disappointed, frustrated?
Why does that help?
Because it helps you separate incidental emotions. Maybe you're just grumpy because you're hungry from the actual facts of the decision you need to make. Ray Kroc, the McDonald's founder, apparently used to visualize wiping that blackboard clean in his mind to regulate his emotions before big decisions.
Stop emotions from clouding judgment, like avoiding the sunk cost fallacy just because you feel bad about quitting.
Exactly. Then there's embracing learning and growth. This is fundamental.
Curiosity comes in here, like Feynman and Darwin.
Absolutely. Neither had the absolute top IQ scores of their time, but they had intense curiosity. It fuels learning, memory, creativity, even social skills.
But curiosity often fades, right? Especially as we go through school.
Sadly, yes. Studies show it drops off sharply after infancy. Sometimes rigid education systems prioritize sticking to the lesson plan over letting a child explore their own questions.
Which ties into growth mindset, Carol Dweck's work.
Directly, believing your abilities can be developed through effort. The growth mindset makes you more resilient, more willing to tackle challenges and learn from mistakes. A fixed mindset, believing talent is innate, makes you fear failure.
Like Feynman getting past his burnout
Yeah,
by just playing with physics.
exactly. He let his curiosity lead again, without pressure. And that connects to productive struggle.
Productive struggle. Sounds tough, but useful.
It is. It's big in Japanese education. The idea is even genius cannot transcend effort. Students are encouraged to wrestle with a problem before the teacher shows them the solution.
So they fail first, productively.
Right. It leads to deeper understanding and better transfer of that knowledge to new situations. It's quite different from some Western approaches that try to make learning seem effortless. Even small things, like a teacher saying, here's one way to solve this instead of the way, can foster that deeper engagement.
These all sound like really practical mental habits we can cultivate, not just abstract ideas.
Definitely. They're tools for your thinking toolkit.
But these individual traps, these thinking errors, they don't just stay at the individual level, do they? They seem to scale up.
Oh, absolutely. That's where Robson talks about functional stupidity in organizations.
Functional stupidity. That sounds blunt.
It is, but it captures something real. It's when intelligent people within an organization collectively suppress critical thinking.
Why would they do that?
Lots of reasons. To save effort, maybe their incentives not to rock the boat, avoiding conflict, just conforming to social pressure, wanting to fit in.
And this can lead to disasters, like Deepwater Horizon.
That's a key example. Multiple warning signs were missed or downplayed by smart people in different parts of the organization. It's often fueled by things like over-specialization, people only seeing their little piece, or a demand for unwavering corporate loyalty, or this kind of relentless optimism that shuts down any dissenting voices.
Like Nokia. They were full of smart engineers, but missed the smartphone shift.
Right. An insular, overly optimistic internal culture made it hard for them to acknowledge the threat and adapt, even though the intelligence was there.
So if functional stupidity is a risk, what are the solutions for organizations? How do they build collective wisdom?
Well, it often starts at the top, with humble leadership.
Leaders who admit they don't have all the answers.
Exactly. Leaders like Abraham Lincoln, famously creating a team of rivals with differing views, or Junkie Toy at Standard Chartered, encouraging informal huddles to get real input. Humble leaders actively seek out different perspectives, they listen to dissent, and that fosters collaboration and actually leads to better results, even higher profits.
So humility isn't weakness, it's a strength in leadership.
Absolutely. And that ties into creating a safety culture.
Where people feel safe to speak up, even with bad news.
Precisely. NASA learned this the hard way with the Challenger and Columbia disasters. Toyota, too, with their early quality issues. Ignoring warnings from lower-level employees can be catastrophic.
The USS Carl Vinson example is striking, rewarding someone for reporting a lost tool, even though it cost time and money.
It sends a powerful message. We value honesty and learning from errors more than hiding them. Reporting mistakes is encouraged, not punished.
Makes sense. What about proactive steps?
Implementing proactive measures is key. Things like pre-mortems.
Pre-mortems. Like a post-mortem, but before things go wrong.
Exactly. You imagine the project has failed spectacularly, and then you brainstorm all the reasons why it might have failed. It surfaces risks you might otherwise overlook.
That's clever.
And you still do regular post-mortems, of course. Appointing formal devil's advocates whose job is to challenge assumptions can also be really effective. It creates what Robson calls a chronic uneasiness, a healthy sense that maybe there's always a better way, that you shouldn't get complacent.
And getting organizations to learn from each other.
Yeah. Industry-wide learning can be powerful. The nuclear power industry's INPO system is a great example.
How does that work?
They created a system for sharing lessons learned from incidents, even minor ones, across all the companies in the industry. It fosters transparency and collective problem solving.
And it worked.
Dramatically. They saw a tenfold reduction in worker accidents. It shows how you can spread these mindful, critical thinking cultures beyond just one company, improving safety for everyone.
So whether you're leading a team or you're just part of one, understanding these dynamics, both the traps and the solutions, can really empower you.
Definitely. You can contribute to making the whole environment smarter, more resilient, where that collective intelligence can actually, emerge and thrive.
This whole deep dive, it really makes you rethink what smart even means, doesn't it?
It really does.
It's clearly not just about IQ points or raw processing power. It's so much more about how we steer that intelligence, how we manage our own biases, our emotions.
How open we are to changing our minds, to admitting we might be wrong.
Yeah, and how curious we stay. These skills, the humility, the curiosity, the emotional awareness, they often get overlooked in traditional education, even in corporate training.
But they're learnable.
Yeah.
That's the crucial takeaway. They are absolutely trainable skills.
Which makes us all potentially wiser, more adaptable, especially in this crazy, fast-changing world we're in.
Exactly. And what's really fascinating is that working on these things, intellectual humility, curiosity, that growth mindset, it doesn't just prevent errors. It actually seems to boost our ability to learn and use whatever intelligence we have more effectively.
So it's like upgrading the driver, not just the engine.
That's a great way to put it. We can all train ourselves to think more wisely.
So thinking about all this, what's the big takeaway for you listening right now? Maybe consider this. Perhaps the most intelligent people aren't the ones who always have the right answer immediately.
Maybe they're the ones who are always learning, always questioning.
Yeah, willing to question even their own certainty, their own infallibility, as Franklin put it. In a world that's getting more complex by the day, what if our greatest cognitive strength isn't actually our power to know everything?
What if it's our capacity to doubt to question, and then
Yeah.
to adapt based on what we learn.
How often do you genuinely challenge your own strongly held beliefs, your own certainty? And just imagine what new insights, what new possibilities might open up if you did that just a little more often.